What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the High Five, finally. I am your host, the one, the only, the second Irish Bandit. I know it's been a minute since the last episode of the High Five, but I'll get into reasons another time. But here we go. Here's another edition of the High Five for you. Gonna be a little bit of a schedule change. I'm gonna get into that at the end of the video here, but let's just get right down into it. This week on the High Five, we are talking about 5 more shows on Netflix you should be watching. A little while back, I did the first video in this series. I guess you can call it a series because I'm watching something new every day on Netflix. So there could be a third one coming up very, very soon in the near future. But let's talk about 5 more shows you should be watching on Netflix. And we're going to start off with a show that I discovered. It's absolutely fantastic. And it feeds into my love of serial killers and behavioral profiling. I love shows like Criminal Minds, so this one was just a natural for me. Starting things off, let's talk about Mindhunters. Sorry, it's Mindhunter, not Mindhunters. Basically, this is a fictionalized, half fictional, half non-fiction telling of the starts of the behavioral science unit in the FBI. The names are different of the people who work the behavioral sciences unit or behavioral analysis unit, whichever you want to call it. I know it is the BAU from Criminal Minds. I love that show. I can't wait till it comes back. But what they deal with are real serial killers. And it's just a fascinating look about how it all began and the stories and the characters that interweave in this series. And it's just brilliantly done. I cannot wait for the second season. I don't know when that's coming out, but there is going to be one, I've heard, and I can't wait. Great cast to it. One of the guys in the cast, I believe, was in one of the seasons of CSI Miami. So that's cool. And it also stars, excuse me, one of the stars of Fringe. So Anna Tovar, I think her name is. Wonderful actress. She does a great job in this series, and it's just so well done. They nail the serial killers that they talk with perfectly, and it's just so well done and so well shot, and just some great visuals in this series as well. I definitely highly recommend this one. Another one I highly recommend that I'm actually going to be talking about very, very soon on an episode of High Five is such a great revival series. I grew up watching the original Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling as a kid, so it's great to see this. Just a wonderful series, funny show, and just so well done. Excellent cast to it. Great series. Another show you should be watching on Netflix is Glow. So I'm not going to talk too much about Glow because I do have a High Five coming up very, very soon of 5 reasons why non-wrestling fans should watch Glow. But what I will say about it is, like I said earlier, I grew up watching the original Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, and it was just a campy, funny show. And this has funny moments in it, of course, because it's a comedy. And Mark Moran is fantastic in his role. This was such a well-cast show. You have Alison Brie as the main character, Ruth. This is such an excellent role for her, and I didn't know she was in Scream 4. So it shows how much attention I pay. Betty Gilpin as her best friend, and these two just have such great chemistry and work well together. And then Mark Maron as the director of Glow, and he's so well cast because it seems like he's playing himself, and he just comes off as this. In the first season, he came off as just this bit of a skeezy B director, and we saw so much character growth with him in season 2 with his daughter, and minor spoiler warnings, and it was just a joy to watch him through both seasons so far, and I can't wait for season 3. I am highly addicted to this show, and you should be too, and I'll get into reasons about that later on the High Five in a couple weeks. So yes, Glow, definitely watch it, even if you're not a wrestling fan. If you are a wrestling fan, then you'll notice a lot of faces in this series. Like one of the main cast members, Kia Stevens. She wrestled in Total Nonstop Action Wrestling as Awesome Kong, and in the WWE as Karma. Uh, if you remember back to the mid 2000s, Carlito Caribbean Cool. He'd come to the ring with an apple and spit it in somebody's face. I spit in the face of people who don't want to be cool. He plays a character's brother. Brodus Clay, he plays the other brother. Chavo Guerrero Jr., who also trained the women to wrestle, makes an appearance in the back half of season 2. So there's going to be a lot of faces that you recognize from professional wrestling if you're a wrestling fan. But if you're not a wrestling fan either, this is a series you can definitely get into. So I'm going to talk about that another day on another episode of High Five, so keep a watch out for that one. But I highly, highly, highly recommend Glow. It is fantastic. Another show you definitely should be watching if you're a child of the 80s like me. I love this series. It's such a great look at some of the nostalgia and some of the toys we grew up with, whether you were into things like Transformers, He-Man, Lego, My Little Pony. I guess My Little Pony's coming up, I think. Get into that in a second. Hello Kitty. This is such a wonderful, wonderful series, and I cannot wait for the 3rd season. It's coming very, very soon. If you haven't checked out this docuseries yet, you definitely should. It's called The Toys That Made Us. So it's kind of funny when you listen to the intro to The Toys That Made Us. It starts out, it's like a great 80s kids show, 80s cartoon. It's kind of along the same vein of G.I. Joe. It starts out, it's an 8-part documentary series, and now they're in 3rd season, and so it's not 8 parts anymore. They're going to have 4 more episodes coming up. But this is a wonderful series. It started off with talking about the Star Wars line of toys from Kenner, and that was a great series. And I gotta admit, because Kenner's no longer in business, when they went back to the old offices of Kenner, I got a little emotional watching that. Because Kenner put out some great toys back in the day. They also talked about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe line, Transformers, Lego, Hello Kitty. Coming up this season is probably going to be my favorite season with everything that they're talking about. They're going to be talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and if you know me, you know I'm a huge Ninja Turtles fan. They're going to be talking about Power Rangers, which I cannot wait for. That is going to be a great series. Hopefully they're going to get into the history of Super Sentai as well. They're going to be talking about wrestling action figures. Finally! It took 2 seasons, but they're finally doing it. And they're going to be talking about My Little Pony as well. So, now I've heard a lot of people say, oh, I skipped this episode, I skipped this episode. No, I don't skip any episode. I don't care if I didn't play with the toy. It's interesting and fascinating to see the creation of the toy, no matter what it is. I don't have anything Hello Kitty. I love the Hello Kitty episode, finding out like what all they put on. They put Hello Kitty's face on. I like that kind of stuff, you know. There was another one, which was it? No, I don't think it was the Smurfs, but there was another one. I'll have to look it up, but I don't skip an episode. I watch it all because it's so fun to watch and just relive everything from the 80s. So Toys That Made Us is definitely a fun watch. If you grew up with any of those toys that I mentioned, you should absolutely watch it. Keeping in the vein of documentary series, this one was such a trip to watch, and it's along the same veins of like Making a Murderer, The Keepers, which I've talked about before. This one was wow. This one had me hooked from the very beginning. It started with a simple crime and then escalated into something just out of this world. Another show you definitely should be watching on Netflix is Evil Genius. Evil Genius, the true story of America's most diabolical bank heist, details a bank robbery in Pennsylvania that ends in the bombing death of a pizza delivery man who may or may not have been a hostage forced to commit the crime. This was it's a 4-part series, and it's just Hearing some of the things that this woman did was just like, holy crap, she is twisted. Well, she says she didn't do it, but like in part two, the revelation of a corpse in a freezer near the crime scene leads police to a highly intelligent woman with mental and personal disorders, and she was pretty much the mastermind behind the bank robbery, so they say. 2 years after the heist, one of the possible architects has died. A witness steps forward, and the prime suspect reveals too much to her cellmates. That's in part three, and then in part four, the confessions. As conspirators come forward, details are made, and a jury renders its verdict. But years after the case seems solved, another witness appears. So this is definitely one to check out if you liked shows like Making a Murderer, which is coming back for season 2. I cannot wait for that. And The Keepers. You should definitely watch Evil Genius. It is riveting entertainment. Well, riveting documentary, and will keep you hooked from the very beginning. And finally, this one came out of left field for me. I was a huge fan of like the first 4 seasons of Dexter, and then maybe season 6 or season 7, maybe. I don't know. Everything after season 5 onward kind of sucked, but the first 4 seasons of Dexter were primo. It's good to see Michael C. Hall back starring in a series again, and this one is a little strange because he's talking with a Cockney British accent. But it's a great series overall with a great story, and it is called Safe. So just a quick overview of the series. Widowed surgeon Tom has struggled to raise his 2 daughters alone following his wife's death a year ago. Things seem to be on the right track for the family, who live in a gated community, because they have close friends nearby and Tom is in the early stages of a new relationship. But the situation takes a turn for the worse when Jenny, Tom's oldest daughter, goes missing along with her boyfriend. Tom enlists girlfriend Sophie, a police detective, to help locate the teens. But her new partner is working her own agenda. As the investigation intensifies, Tom unearths dark secrets about the people closest to him in this affluent neighborhood. The drama series was created by mystery novelist Harlan Coben. It's so great to see Michael C. Hall back acting again, because he hasn't really done much of anything other than the movie Gamer since Dexter ended on that terrible ending. Terrible. Shanti. Let's not get into that. Calm. Anyway, Safe is just such a fantastic series, and it keeps you guessing till the very end about everything that's going on. What happened to Jenny? Where is she? Who has her? What's going on with Tom and Sophie? It's just so many things interconnect in this series that it will keep you guessing till the end and will have you going the whole time. And it's such a wonderful series too. The only thing that throws me off is Michael C. Hall's English accent, because I've known him as Dexter for too long, and hearing him with an English accent is just, it throws you for a loop, but you kind of get used to it after a few episodes. But I definitely highly recommend Safe and any one of these series that I talked about today. And like I said, I'm watching so many new things on Netflix that I could easily do a third part to this. So keep looking for that somewhere down the line, and we'll talk more about 5 other shows that you should be watching. Like, I mean, on the main series, Irish Bandit Revolution, I'm working on the 3rd chapter of like YouTubers you should be watching. So, hey, I'll do YouTubers for the main show and Netflix series for this one. Sound good? Sound good. Okay. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode of The High Five. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. I'd really appreciate that. Let me know in the comments section down below. Is there anything you're watching on Netflix right now that you think that I'd enjoy? There's a couple things that I'm watching now that didn't make this list that, if I do the 3rd chapter of this, I'll add to that list. But let me know in the comments section down below what I should be watching, and maybe I'll check it out. Don't forget to share this video anywhere you can on all the major socials. In the link down below, you're going to see a link, or in the description down below, you're going to see a link to my Redbubble store, where you can get all your Irish Bandit merchandise. You can get t-shirts, leggings, tank tops, stickers, phone cases for iPhone and Samsung, iPad cases, and coffee mugs, travel mugs, whatever your heart's desire. You can get it at the Irish Bandit shop. And don't forget don't forget if you're not already subscribed to hit that subscribe button. And if you are subscribed, don't forget to tap that bell and notify all to be notified when I go live, whenever I upload a new video, whenever I go live, whatever. So, bit of a scheduling change here because you know how I like to do this, do this every 2 weeks. Well, you're going to be getting 3 episodes of the High Five back to back the next few weeks. Well, 3 including this one. I'll be back next week with a new episode of High Five. I'm trying to remember which one I'm doing next week. I think next week is 5 Things I Want to See Season 3 in Riverdale. And then the week after that, I'm going to be talking about 5 Things I Want to See in the 9th season of The Walking Dead. Because I want to get these out before or right about the time that the season premieres happen. So, and then after that Walking Dead episode in 2 weeks, I will be back to my regular bi-weekly schedule, in which time I will be talking about 5 actors on The Walking Dead who could replace Andrew Lincoln as the lead, seeing how he is leaving The Walking Dead. If you didn't know that by now, where have you been? Anyway, that wraps it up for this episode, guys. Thank you for joining me, and I'll talk to you again for another episode of The High Five. Take care.